Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. I've always hated Mondays, and this one is destined to be one of my worst. My wife Sophia was depressed, preparing breakfast for me and my daughter like a robot. She didn't show malice. She just seemed unusually frustrated. It didn't make the morning any more pleasant, and I didn't know what was causing her to be depressed, nor was I interested in asking why. My 16-year-old daughter Lily and I leave the house at almost the same time. She goes to school and I go to work. For the past 15 years, I have been working for a construction company in Toronto, managing large projects. It's a stressful job, but it pays well. I've always dreamed of opening my own construction company, and this job is the closest I've ever gotten to that. My desire to design and build amazing buildings is deeply ingrained in me. Sometimes I get frustrated just thinking that it will never happen. Family and loved ones seem to be more important than my dreams, and I am happy with my family life. I have a wonderful daughter and a wife I love dearly. Unfortunately, it's Monday, and I hate that part of work. One of the people I loathe the most is Eric Foster. He's the most obnoxious person in the world, and he's always making work difficult in every way possible. We met in college. I didn't like him then, and I don't like him now. Hey, Daniel. I'm sorry to hear you didn't make it to the annual company meeting last week. Eric seemed to want to pick a fight early today. There was a big annual company party last weekend, and Lily and I were going to Montreal to help my father move. My mother died 6 months ago, and Dad decided to move to a smaller place. Sophia was disappointed, so I told her to leave us alone and go to the party herself. When we got back Sunday night, I asked her how the party went, and she just said, "Fine." I looked at Eric angrily and said nothing. "I'm sorry you couldn't make it, Daniel, but your wife sure made the party more fun. She seemed to be having a good time." I heard a few co-workers around me whispering and snickering, as if they were laughing at me. I started to walk away and Eric followed, continuing, "She's just gotten more and more attractive since college, Daniel. You're lucky you have her to go home with you every night." I dare say how lucky you are. I can feel it's going to be a long day. The veins in my forehead began to bulge, and I could feel the tendons in my neck tighten. My whole life, I've been trying to control my temper, and once again I'm trying to walk away. I turned to face them, and Eric threw something at me. It's a delicate silk scarf I gave Sophia for her birthday last year. Everyone around them laughed. I looked at them without looking up. The scarf fell on the office carpet and landed at my feet. I didn't reach out to pick it up. I suddenly realized I had stopped breathing and could feel my stomach muscles tighten. I became a spring of anger, ready to explode. I could easily beat Eric, but doing so in the office could have serious consequences. At this point, I don't care. I started toward Eric when a strong hand grabbed my shoulder. Mark Stevens, our department head, looked me in the eye and briefly nodded toward the conference room. Saying nothing, I looked at Eric with a hatred I'd never seen before and followed Mark to the conference room. For some reason, Eric and everyone around him stopped laughing and got worried looks on their faces. Mark entered the conference room and I sat at the conference table, waiting for the upcoming conversation. Sarah, the company's HR manager, was there. "Daniel, would you like some water?" Sarah asked. "No, thanks. I'm so angry right now. I can't even hold a glass." I saw Mark and Sarah exchange a serious look. "Sarah, were you at the company's annual meeting last week?" She just nodded. "Can you tell me what's going on?" "I don't know what happened." Sophia didn't say anything. "I don't know what to do." "Daniel, this is a sensitive subject, and you should talk to Sophia directly." "You were there, Sarah. You saw what happened. Just give me a hint." Sarah looked down at the tabletop, as if trying to organize her words. "Please, Sarah, I need to know." Sophia's dressed up and seems to be in a good mood. At the after-dinner dance, she and Eric had a few dances. Afterward, I saw them go to the terrace together. They were there for a long time. When they return, Sophia looks a little flustered, while Eric looks smug. Soon after that, Sophia left. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I shouldn't have said that." "Thanks, Sarah. I didn't want to hear that, but it explains a lot." We were silent for about 10 minutes. Then Mark started talking. "Daniel, I'm not happy about what happened this morning. Eric's behavior is unacceptable, and he will be severely disciplined. But I also don't tolerate violence in the office. I suggest you take a 2-week vacation. Take care of your personal problems, then come back to work. We will do everything we can to help you through this difficult time. If you need any help, feel free to let me know. Now, you can go home. I nodded to Mark and Sarah and left the conference room. Eric is not in the office area. When I walked to the parking lot, I left the scarf in my office. Instead of going home, I started driving north, looking for a place where I could forget myself. I've had plenty of time to think about the past and present. Sophia and I went to college together. She wasn't what she is now then. She doesn't pay much attention to her appearance, always wears baggy clothes, and rarely wears makeup. Her hair was always in a casual ponytail. She didn't socialize and was basically a quiet nerd. Of course, that's what attracted me. I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall and weigh close to 300 pounds. I'm big, but I'm also awkward, shy, and not much to look at. I'm too clumsy to play any sports. Eric Foster is the opposite. He's handsome, talkative, and has excellent grades. I know it sounds silly, but rumor has it that girls will find ways to team up with Eric to complete course projects in hopes of getting his attention. He never had a steady girlfriend, but never lacked for suitors. I hated him. He'd brag about his exploits in the dorms, and the girls didn't seem to mind, except for Sophia. Sophia once tried to complete a major course project with Eric in the hopes of gaining his favor. Eric not only rejected her, he openly mocked her proposal in class. He says he only works with the best students and won't waste time with a boring nerd. The class thinks it's funny, but Sophia is hurt. I thought it was a chance for me to get closer to her. I had no idea how to chase girls, so I just started learning with her. Soon, we became close, and by the time we graduated from college, we were a couple. I was her first and only boyfriend. The 401 becomes the 407, and I continue driving north. I know where I'm going. It's only a matter of time. I think of my daughter Lily, who has inherited the best traits from both of us. We made sure she was involved in activities from an early age so she wouldn't feel as uncomfortable as we did when we were younger. Lily is taller and slimmer than I was in high school. She is smart, confident, and popular at school. We taught her to be kind, not to bully others, and also to pursue her dreams. She aspires to be an architect, and I think that's probably because of my influence. I promised to do everything I can to help her achieve this goal. Sophia was a good mother and had been a wonderful wife. She kept the house well organized and always created a warm family atmosphere for us. Our married life has been very happy, at least I think so. We always had fun together, and I was always happy with our relationship. I found myself driving up Highway 11, the numbers on the odometer increasing. It was getting dark, and I wanted to reach my destination before nightfall. It's still a couple hours to Alexandria Bay, but it's the only place I want to be right now. I was looking for Route 62 and finally found it as the sun was going down. I asked for a room for a week in a small hotel by the lake. I had no luggage, no change of clothes, no razor, but I didn't care. The innkeeper took the room key from behind the counter and handed it to me. I went into the bar, ordered a whiskey, and sat in the back corner. The sunlight from the window shone through the amber-colored glass bottle, giving the room a warm tone. It's time to numb yourself and forget the world. The next few days were a blur. I would wake up late in the afternoon and find myself lying in my room with a vague recollection of how I got back to my room last night. It was usually the regulars at the bar who would help me back to my room and throw me on the bed. I never got under the covers. I splashed some water on my face and take a shower once in a while. I had to put the same clothes back on, so showering didn't help with my odor. I grew a mean-looking beard. I've never had a beard before, and seeing it in its current state makes me a little uneasy. Every few days, the innkeeper would charge my credit card to keep up with the cost of my room and the liquor bill. I've been wallowing in self-pity for so long. I'm getting sick of it. I was sitting there, staring blankly at the old wall clock on the bar wall for the 1000th time, when 2 men in police uniforms walked in. I was looking at them, but not really looking at them. They talked to the bartender for a while, who nodded and pointed toward me. He also pointed to my room key that was sitting on the counter. I think they're looking for me. They didn't even try to talk to me. They just put something in my coffee to wake me up. For the next 2 hours, they talked to me. Daniel Williams, do you think you could talk to us? Did we do something wrong? We just want to talk to you. Can you do that? Can we go outside and talk? The sun was shining, but the air smelled damp. The gravel road in front of the hotel was slippery, and I walked carefully across it to the lake. The whole town is built on a slope, and I still feel a little drunk. The fresh air is marvelous. It fills my lungs. I don't smoke, but the air in the bar is so thick, the result is the same. I leaned over the railing at the edge of the lake and threw up. Mostly liquids, since I haven't eaten anything solid in days. My head started to clear. My eyes started to get clear. My two companions waited patiently for me to recover. I'm beginning to feel a little bad for putting them through all this trouble. I sat on a bench by the lake, and it was wet, but I didn't care. Can I help you, officer? I finally asked. First of all, we've been looking for you since you've been missing for 10 days. Secondly, we're investigating a serious incident of violence, and we'd like you to help us. Well, you guys found me, so that part's already taken care of. I haven't left this town since I got here. I'm sure the innkeeper has told you that I haven't left the premises since I checked in. I don't know what violence you're talking about, but I think I'll find out when I get home. I talked to them for about another hour. They didn't accuse me of anything, and after confirming that I was safe, they seemed to be interested only in the violence. They found me through my credit card purchases. If it happens again, I'll remember not to make the same mistake. I went downhill, bought some new clothes and a toothbrush. I decided to grow a beard, even though it looked bad. After a final shower, I paid the bill and started home. I stopped 4 times, twice to eat, but mostly to stall. There is nothing pleasant or enjoyable waiting for me at home, but I do want to see my daughter. When I finally got home, it was late at night. Sophia is sitting on the couch in the living room with only a lamp on. She looked at me, hands in her lap, afraid to move. It looks like she's been crying, but it's hard to tell in the dim light. I went to the kitchen to grab a beer, but the thought of it made me a little sick to my stomach, so I grabbed a can of soda. I sat in the armchair across from her and waited for her to speak. Lily's staying the night at a friend's house. I suggested it so we could talk alone. I'm sorry, Sophia said softly. I just nodded and waited for her to continue. Why didn't you tell me earlier? She asked suddenly. Where did I learn that? I asked rhetorically. I don't know. I'm scared, I guess. Scared of what? I'm not sure what you'd think, or what you'd do. I did something stupid, and it backfired. Counterproductive? What exactly is counterproductive? My voice began to rise. You're not mad at me, are you, Daniel? I don't know. Maybe it would be better if you told me the truth, but we'll have to wait and see. Sophia took a deep breath, as if gathering her courage. Daniel, do you remember what Eric did to me in college? Yes, I've been trying to get back at him ever since that happened. At the company's annual meeting, I thought it was a good opportunity, so I set a trap to make a fool out of him. That's not like the story I heard. Look, Daniel, like I said, it backfired. I got all dressed up, and Eric started pestering me. I let him think he'd gotten away with it, and then he suggested we go out on the terrace and talk. We stayed there for a while, because I had to in order to seduce him. After a while, he started getting close, but I secretly recorded everything he said. I want to threaten him with these to make a fool out of him in the company. Why are you doing this? What were you thinking? I want to get back at him. I want him to pay for humiliating me. Anyway, I've noticed he's getting bolder. So I started encouraging him to say more embarrassing things. Well, what the hell did you do? I pretended to be interested in him and got him to admit to some misconduct in the company. I videotaped everything. I was going to threaten him with it. But, and then what? I gathered myself and prepared to leave the terrace. But Eric suddenly realized something was wrong. He grabbed my cell phone and found the recording. He became so angry that he threatened to destroy my career and our marriage. I got scared and ran away. Sophia started crying and walked into the kitchen. I sat there, sipping my soda, watching her lean over the kitchen table, sobbing softly. I love her more than anything. She's the only girl I've ever cared about, and the only girl I've ever had an intimate relationship with. In fact, she's the only girl I've ever kissed. I find it hard to believe she would do something so reckless. I'm still willing to give her a chance if her story can be corroborated, but the likelihood is slim. At the end of that week, she put the final nail in her coffin. Sophia had been very considerate. She was careful never to mention the company annual meeting or anything to do with it. She never talked about my trip to Alexandria Bay. She's doing everything she can to restore our old life. The next day at breakfast, I got the final blow. Daniel, I've been thinking. I'd like to have a baby. I'm sorry, Sophia said suddenly, her eyes full of anticipation. I knew what the intimacy between us the night before was about. We need some background knowledge to understand the absurdity of this statement. Sophia has been taking birth control pills since Lily was born, and about 3 years ago she started complaining about the side effects. She had a number of women's health problems that could be caused or exacerbated by the pill. In any case, she decided to stop taking the pill. We do not use any other type of birth control. Shortly afterward, I went to the doctor to deal with some health issues and inquired about a vasectomy. 20 minutes later, I was in surgery. I never mentioned it to Sophia. I didn't think it was necessary. For the past 3 years, Sophia and I have been using no birth control, no pills, no condoms, nothing. Sophia never said or wondered why she wasn't pregnant. Now all of a sudden she wanted to wave a wand and have a baby. Either she's stupid, or she thinks I'm really stupid. I looked at her in surprise. I think that would be great, honey. I replied calmly. As a man, I don't know much about pregnancy, but it's been almost 3 weeks since the annual company meeting, and there's a good chance that Sophia missed her period, and she's masking her concerns. It gave me a whole new perspective on the whole thing, so I decided to advance my plans. Lily had returned to school, and I had a chance to talk to her before she left. She seemed to understand the situation between me and my mother better than I did. It makes me feel better to know that with her support and understanding, no matter what happens, I will be okay. It is uncertain what will happen. I spent most of my time looking for Eric Foster, who was bound to show up at the office at some point. I went to the office, spoke to Sarah. The other coworkers are back at work, but Sarah doesn't know what's going on with Eric. Rumor has it that he's afraid I'll retaliate against him, which doesn't make sense because I'm a peace-loving man. I avoided the office area so I wouldn't run into my coworkers who used to make fun of me. In the afternoon, I visited a local attorney to begin the necessary procedures for a divorce. I don't want to hurt Sophia, but I don't want to keep living with her either. Lily's going to college soon, and I don't see any reason for me to stay here. The one thing I can't get out of my head is that I need to thank Eric for ruining my marriage. I know the main responsibility lies with Sophia, but I can't punish her, and her lovers must pay for their poor judgment. Eric Foster always goes to a cafe near his office for coffee before work. As darkness fell, he walked out the side door of the cafe and down the building towards the parking lot. I startled him when I grabbed his left arm and pinned him against the wall behind me. I slammed him into the wall, heard something break, and his head hit the bricks. His knees bent slightly, but I grabbed him with my arm and started punching him in the stomach with my right fist, and he fell to the ground. My fists started hitting higher, and I could hear ribs cracking. I must have hit him 20 times before his arm was dislocated from the shoulder socket. I threw him onto the sidewalk, and a bunch of people came running down the street. No one chased me. I calmly walked to my car and drove away. 2 hours later, I was sitting in a police station. Sophia just pledged her house, posted bail, and is completing the paperwork. Eric's wife Rachel rushed in, screaming at the top of her lungs to lock me up for good. They managed to get rid of her, but she didn't shut up until Sophia talked to her. I don't know what Sophia said, but Rachel looked at us both as if we were dirt and walked away. Lily took my car and drove me home with Sophia following. Lily seemed both concerned and somewhat in awe of my behavior, but I was careful not to say or do anything to encourage her. Eric has a dislocated shoulder, a broken nose, both eyes are black and blue, and a lot of internal injuries that they haven't fully identified. A couple of ribs were broken, but luckily they didn't puncture his lungs. When Sophia and I got home, we didn't talk about it. I slept in a guest room for the first time in 20 years, but I didn't mind. The next morning, I woke up early and tried to figure out what to do next. An old friend of mine, Alex, runs a construction company in Vancouver, and he's willing to hire me if I'll move there. I promised him I'd contact him later in the week. On the way home, I stopped to fill the tank. I had just finished filling up the tank when I saw someone coming at me. I turned around, and just then, a man I didn't recognize hit me in the left side with an iron pipe. The pipe grazed my left arm, then hit me in the ribs. I narrowed my eyes and bent over from the pain. I remember trying to breathe, but couldn't inhale. My eyes closed tightly. I saw a bright white flash and then felt my knees buckle. The iron pipe made a strange clanging sound, bouncing off the ground. The man couldn't catch it after impact. My right hand went out as I fell and grabbed his shirt. When I fell, I twisted my body to the left and hit the ground with my right hand, which was wrapped in my shirt. I felt myself land heavily on top of the man. My eyes remained closed, trying to block out the pain on my left side. I can't move my left arm. I acted on instinct, and my right hand started pounding up and down. I don't know what I hit, but as long as it was an attack, it was enough. The two sides of my body acted independently, the left side curling up to protect itself and the right side attacking anything it could find. At first, the man squirmed underneath me, trying to get away, but after a few seconds, he stopped moving. I didn't stop beating him until some passers-by pulled me away. I still can't take a deep breath, and it hurts like hell. A paramedic gave me a shot, and I slept all the way to the hospital. A few hours later, I woke up with my left arm in a sling and my body tightly taped. I can breathe, but be careful. Sophia is there, looking upset. Damn it, Daniel. What were you thinking? You're making a bigger and bigger deal out of this. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry, honey. I didn't do anything. Why did that man attack me with an iron pipe? What the hell is going on here? You didn't talk to the others. You were chasing them, beating them up. I gave her a big smile. Why would I do something like that? Stop acting like a bully, and stop calling them my lovers. Sophia walked out of the room just as the doctor came in. My injuries were more traumatic than broken. The man was a terrible wielder of the iron pipe. My arms are just a little sore, and the cracks in my ribs are small. I'm having trouble breathing and pain just from the impact. The next morning, Lily picked me up. She was red from ear to ear, and I told her to shut up. On the other hand, the man who attacked me is in bad shape. He will be eating through a straw for about a month until his jaw heals, and it will be at least a week before the swelling goes down. An errant hit did break his left collarbone. Of course, all the hits were misses, because at the time I didn't know what I was hitting. There are no charges against me because several people testified that the man attacked me first. I had to call in and take another week off, this time sick. I talked to Sarah for a while, and she said that Eric had quit his job and that his last paycheck had been sent to his brother's house in Montreal. They still don't know who the man who attacked me was or why he did it. Sophia and I don't communicate very well. I sleep in the guest room every night now. I got the sling off quickly, but my ribs were still a little sore, but at least I could move and breathe normally. Alex told me that I was welcome to join his company anytime. I went to see my lawyer and the divorce papers were ready, so I told him to serve them before I left Toronto. I'll leave everything to Sophia, and she'll get the house, but when I skip bail, the bonding company will take it. I don't care one bit. I put copies of the ligation paperwork and a recent sperm test report in the divorce papers as well. I made a few calls to some friends in Vancouver and spent some time at the gym trying to recover from that iron pipe attack. My boss wasn't happy to see me go, but he agreed to keep my departure as secret as possible. I asked him to take care of Lily if necessary. Sophia had stopped going to the gym and the house was falling apart. The washing machine is clogged, and the whole place is going downhill in terms of its overall appearance. The food was only casual, and the conversation was not as lively as it used to be. I swear, she looks like she's gaining weight again. The whole world fell apart in a matter of weeks. The next day, Lily handed me her college acceptance letter. I've never seen her so happy. Both of us are ready for a new start. I told her to wait until the end of the semester to make a final decision. I don't think she listened to me. I contacted Alex and took care of all the necessary things. He sent me a job description that listed what I needed to prepare for when I arrived in Vancouver the following week. I organized my gear, packed my bags, and then looked around our home one last time. Lily insisted on driving me to the airport, which was a relief. We talked a lot on the way to the airport. I told her to take care of herself and focus on school. I promised to reach out to her often and be there to support her whenever she needs it. Lily seems to be both excited and scared about the upcoming changes. Daddy, do you really have to go? She asked from the airport parking lot. I took a deep breath. Yes, dear. Sometimes life needs a fresh start. But I will always be your father and always love you. Lily hugged me with tears in her eyes. I'm going to miss you, Dad. Promise me you'll take care of yourself. I promise, I said. You take care of yourself too. Remember, no matter what happens, I'm proud of you. We said our goodbyes, and I walked into the airport to start my new life. As the plane took off, I felt a sense of relief. I know there are many challenges ahead, but I also feel hopeful. Upon arrival in Vancouver, Alex picked me up himself. He gave me a tour of the company and introduced me to my new coworkers. The atmosphere here is completely different from my previous job, and everyone seems to be full of enthusiasm and creativity. Daniel, we're really excited to have you join us, said Alex. I'm sure your experience will be of great value to our team. I nodded gratefully. Thanks for the opportunity, Alex. I can't wait to get started. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself fully into my new job. Every night, I called or messaged Lily to find out how she was doing. She seems to be adjusting well, which is a relief. About a month later, I received a letter from Toronto. It's from Sophia. I hesitated for a long time before opening it. In the letter, Sophia admits her mistake and apologizes for her behavior. She explained that she had realized what a mistake she had made and was seeking help. She also told me that she was pregnant, and it was confirmed that it was Eric's baby. I sat there and stared at the letter for a long time. I felt a rush of mixed emotions come over me: anger, sadness, relief, and a hint of pity. Finally, I decided to write back. I told Sophia that I forgave her, but that our marriage was beyond repair. I wish her in the new life well and hope she finds happiness. I also told her that I would continue to support Lily and that I hoped we could remain friendly for the sake of our daughter. After writing this letter, I felt a peace I had never felt before. I realized that despite all the pain and betrayal, I could finally let go of the past and truly start a new life. A few days later, I got a call from the police. They told me that the man who attacked me at the gas station had been captured. Turns out he's a distant relative of Eric's, instructed by Eric to terrorize me. The news sent a chill down my spine, but I decided not to pursue it. I've had enough of violence and retaliation. Over the weekend, I decided to explore Vancouver. I strolled along the waterfront walkway, breathing in the fresh air and looking at the mountains in the distance. Suddenly, I realized I hadn't felt so calm and free in a long time. Just then, my cell phone rang. It's Lily. Dad, I have great news. She said excitedly, I got a full scholarship. My heart is filled with pride and joy. That's great, honey. I knew you could do it. It's worth celebrating. And when I go back to see you next time, we'll celebrate together. After hanging up, I continued my walk with hope in my heart. I know there is a long road ahead, but I also know that I can overcome whatever obstacles come my way. I've been through the worst of it, and the only direction now is up. I think of the awkward, shy college student I used to be, the betrayed husband, the out-of-control rage. But now, I'm a new person. I am a stronger, wiser, more forgiving person. I'm someone who is ready for a new life. The sun began to set, and the sky was colored a beautiful orange-red. I stood there, looking at this beautiful sight with gratitude in my heart, grateful for this new beginning, for my daughter, and for every lesson life has taught me. I know that whatever the future holds, I am ready for it. I've gone through the lows of life, now it's time to climb the highs. With that thought in mind, I turned and walked back to my new home, ready for tomorrow's challenges. Life may throw us unexpected twists and turns, but it's how we respond to those challenges that matters. I've learned to forgive, to let go, and to start over. Now I look forward to writing the next chapter of my life, one filled with hope, growth, and new opportunities. The story ends here, but Daniel's new life is just beginning. In the Vancouver haze, he smiled and took firm steps towards an unknown but promising future. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.